In our proctoring service, there are three integral roles: administrator, the user who is responsible for the interface, session, and proctoring management on our client side, proctor, and test taker. To understand the service's mechanism, the first step is navigating the administrator's interface. After logging in, this is the main control panel used to monitor, create, and manage sessions, as well as the host's and admin's profile information. There is a set of toolbars designed to interact with each other to ensure maximum personalization and functionality. First, on the top right corner, there is the main menu for session creation and manual settings, such as add, copy, edit, delete, restart, and downloading of the session report in PDF and ZIP, as well as downloading and uploading the CSV of all session activity on the particular host. The manual toolbar is useful for creating initial session templates, but when the service is integrated with an LMS, the sessions are created through there and reflected in the admin's interface automatically. On the left, there is another vertical toolbar that is responsible for the different tabs of the interface, such as the sessions one we're currently at. Users, drafts for message creation to be used by proctors during a session, files to be uploaded and used in an assessment through the session template, scheduler and supervision, which are responsible for live proctoring, statistics to show overall use, and journal for reporting system and user actions during a session for review. As seen here, the top right menu remains for each of these tabs, so an admin can interact with it as needed. Back to the main tab, we will go over template creation, session filtering and statuses, and session data and reports. As seen in the session list, each entry appears with its full information, but the admin can also use the search field to display only the necessary ones. Using the syntax of regular expressions, either by typing them out or choosing from the drop-down list, the admin can display only the sessions chosen under specific conditions, just like in this case, where the condition for duration is used. Sessions can also be filtered by their statuses. Template is not an active session itself, but a predefined set of parameters used for automatic session creation. Templates are especially important when the proctoring service is integrated with an LMS, since they define what default rules, add-ons, and configurations will apply each time a new session is generated. Created means that the session has been created and linked to an assessment, but no test taker has yet started it. Essentially, it's prepared and waiting to begin. Started, the session is currently in progress. The test taker has entered the session and the proctoring process is actively running. Paused. The test taker has temporarily disconnected. The session will remain paused for the duration specified in the timeout parameter of the session card. Skipped. The scheduled session window has passed and the test taker never started the session before the open at closeout deadline. Stopped. The test taker completed the assessment and the session has ended, but the proctor or admin has not yet rated or concluded it. It's essentially awaiting review. Accepted. The session was reviewed by a proctor and received a positive conclusion, confirming the test taker's identity and integrity of the attempt. Rejected. The session was reviewed and received a negative conclusion from the proctor, usually due to violations or failed identity verification. Removed, finally, means that the session has been fully removed from active data, keeping only the minimal identifying information for reporting and audit purposes. When a removed session is clicked, its general record appears, but no detailed media files. After a session ends, all data is stored in the protocol report on the far right of the session line. It also contains the full timeline with recorded video tracks, screen capture, chat messages, incident markers, and metric evaluations. From the protocol view, administrators and proctors can add comments and set the final conclusion using the Rate button. Administrators can also monitor from the Supervision tab. When a session is in progress, selecting it opens the live view. In the center, the system displays the participant's webcam or screen feed. On the right, the chat panel allows communication and incident logging. The top toolbar shows the connection status and includes the option to finish the session if required. As for past sessions, the admin can review the same way as through protocol, right-clicking to leave comments on the timeline and rate or overview a proctor's rating comments. Creating a session is essentially configuring all the proctoring functions and operations that will appear before, during, and post-assessment. It can be done by double-clicking on a template subject or using the Add Plus button. The Parameters tab contains the core technical and timing properties of a session. Most of the parameters are usually transferred automatically from the connected LMS, but here are the essential ones the administrator can configure. Subject is the name of the session for displaying in the proctoring system interface. The identifier is a unique session ID, usually transferred from the LMS, but can be configured in templates. Open at and close at define the start and end window during which the session can be taken. Lifetime is the session duration in minutes after launch. Once it expires, the system automatically ends the attempt. Timeout is the disconnection grace period, allowing the participant to reconnect before the system closes the session. If the test taker has time to get back, the timeout is reset, and the next time the test taker is disconnected, the countdown starts over. Remove at or expires determine when the session is deleted from storage. Rules is a link to the exam rules displayed at the beginning of the session for the test taker, and iframe URL is the address of the test or quiz loaded inside the proctoring window. Add-ons define the stages, verification steps, and restrictions that make up the proctoring flow. The following are typically pre-selected as a baseline for most exams templates. Rules displays the assessment rules as soon as the test taker logs in. Check performs a browser, camera, microphone, and network test before starting. Profile prompts the test taker to fill or confirm their name. Face and passport/scan capture live face and ID photos for identity verification. Verify a name, ensure the name and photo on the ID match the participant profile. Ready confirms the participant's readiness and environment compliance. Proctor requires an available proctor online for the session to begin. Schedule lets the participant choose a time slot from proctor availability. Record records the webcam and screen throughout the exam. Overview requires a short room scan before the start. Content enables full content protection during the session by blocking copying, printing, screenshots, hotkeys, text selection, right-click actions, and hiding the page when DevTools or focus loss is detected. Chat enables real-time communication between proctor and participant. And finally, lock freezes the screen when sustained violations exceed the allowed threshold. These are the essential add-ons used as a baseline, and the administrator can personalize them to match the requirements of each assessment or institution. Metrics are automated indicators that track the test taker's environment and behavior during the session. Each metric produces values based on real-time data, and to be easily monitored in post-assessment, they are codified by a letter and a number. B1 to B3 focus on browser and tab focus, C1 to C6 on camera and face, M1 and M2 on microphone and audio, N1 and N2 on network and mobile cam connection, N3, S1 and S2 on recording and screen. Each metric has an adjustable weight, normally set to 1. Weights determine the relative importance of each indicator in the overall credibility calculation. Higher weights increase the impact of that metric on the final score. The credibility score, usually set to 50 on a scale of 0 to 100, is calculated by averaging all enabled metrics over the entire session and applying their weights. The threshold determines which minutes count as violations, and metrics detected for longer periods lower the overall average. The score represents the percentage of compliant behavior across the full session duration. A lower score means more weight violation, while a higher score indicates consistently acceptable behavior. The end value is visible both in the session list and in the detailed report. The Members and Invites tab refer to live proctoring. The Members tab lists the proctors who have direct access to a given session. Adding a user here ensures this proctor can monitor and review the assessment. Administrators see all sessions by default and do not need to be listed. To add a proctor, simply type their name on the search bar and hit the plus button. As for the Invites tab, it automates how proctors are assigned. Instead of manually selecting names, the system distributes sessions using predefined rules. Quorum is the minimum number of proctors required for a session to start. If the quorum is not met, the participant cannot begin. Concurrent is the maximum number of simultaneous sessions allowed per proctor. Setting this prevents overload and helps balance monitoring load. When the Schedule add-on is on, the system links these invite rules with the Scheduler tab. The scheduler presents a calendar with 15-minute time slots for each proctor. Participants select a slot and the system assigns that proctor automatically once the selection is made. At the scheduled time, the proctor clicks on the session to monitor and the session begins only when quorum and concurrency conditions are satisfied. That concludes the administrator's interface onboarding. Please don't forget to visit our website under documentation, where you can find the guides for admin, test taker, and proctors alike.